All right, let's jump right in and take a look at what's new in SDTM-ETL version 5.1. Now, this isn't just some minor patch. Nope. This release is absolutely packed with new features designed to solve some of those really persistent headaches in your workflow and validation. So, let's take a tour and see how it's going to make your life a whole lot easier.
You know the feeling, right? You're constantly juggling these super strict regulatory requirements, wrestling with data standards that always seem to be changing, and making sure the data quality is perfect can feel like this constant uphill battle. Well, you can think of version 5.1 as your backup finally arriving, bringing some seriously powerful new tools to help you win that fight.
Okay, so here's our game plan. We're going to start with some awesome workflow improvements, then we'll tackle those tricky regulatory rules. After that, we'll do a deep dive into the new validation engine, which is amazing, and we'll wrap up with some really nice quality of life upgrades.
First up, let's talk about getting things done faster. These are the kinds of features that give you those immediate wins, saving you time and a whole lot of clicks every single day.
We've all been there. You load a huge define.xml file, but you only need to work on like 2 or 3 domains. So what do? You start that super tedious process. Right-click, delete, confirm, and then you do it again and again. It's slow, it's repetitive, and honestly, it's just a total waste of your time.
And here is the beautiful solution. Instead of that painful one-by-one dance, you now get this single, clean little window. You just check off all the domains you want to get rid of, click one button, and boom, they're gone. This is a massive, immediate time saver.
Okay, let's talk about another common headache, split domains. You know, when a single domain, like labs, is broken up into multiple datasets, maybe one for chemistry and one for urinalysis. Well, trying to manage non-standard variables across those different parts could get, well, pretty messy. Did you want that new variable to apply to just one or to all of them?
And check this out, it's such an elegant solution. Now, when you go to add a non-standard variable in a situation like that, you get this simple choice. Do you want to add the variable just to the one dataset you've selected? Or do you want to apply it to all of them at the same time? The power is right there, in your hands.
And here, you can see the 2 different outcomes, plain as day. On the left, see? The new variable was only added to that one specific domain we picked. But on the right, with that other choice, it's added to all 3 instances at once. The bottom line here is you now have complete, precise control over your dataset structure. It's fantastic.
Okay, next up, let's see how version 5.1 helps you tame some of those really frustrating regulatory requirements. We're going to look at new tools built specifically to handle compliance rules that are, often a huge pain.
Now here's a perfect example of a rule that can just make you scratch your head. CDISC has these incredibly strict requirements for units, even for ones that are mathematically the exact same thing. So you can't just use mg/ml. No, you have to convert it to g/l. You can't just use the unit you were given. You have to do the conversion.
Well, the solution is this brilliant new mapping function called ucum to CDISC. You just apply it to your unit variable, and it automatically does the conversion for you. So mg per ml just becomes g per l. No more writing complex if-then-else logic. It's simple, it's clean, and it seriously reduces the chance of making a mistake.
All right, now for a classic rock and a hard place situation. The SDTM implementation guide is super clear. The sub-JID variable is strictly forbidden in any domain except demographics. But what do you do when a regulator like the FDA specifically asks for it? Maybe to track subjects with multiple screenings?
Well, version 5.1 gives you a very practical way out. There's a new menu item made for exactly these special cases. It's a really targeted feature that basically admits that, hey, sometimes you just have to bend the rules a little to meet a specific submission requirement. It's a lifesaver when you need it. Okay, now for what I think might be the single biggest update in this whole release. Let's dive into the massive expansion of the CDISC core validation capabilities. This is all about giving you a level of control over data quality that you've never had before. So CDISC Core is fast becoming the new gold standard for validation, and for good reason. It's super flexible and really powerful. But what SDTM-ETL 5.1 does is truly unlock its potential by letting you go beyond the standard rules and add your very own layers of quality checks. So think of it this way. You now have 3 layers of validation power. First, you've got your standard CDISC rule set for basic conformance. Then, you have this incredible new dataset specializations rule set with almost 1,800 new rules to check things like whether the units are what you'd expect for a specific lab test. And finally, and this is the real game changer, you can write and apply your own custom quality rules.
And the best part is, setting it up couldn't be easier. It's literally 4 steps. Step 1, you enable core validation with a single click. Step 2, you choose which of those 3 rule sets you want to use. Step 3, you get this great dialog where you can pick exactly which data sets and even which specific rules to run. And finally, step 4, you run it and get a super detailed report.
So what does writing your own rule actually look like? Well, here is a perfect, simple example. This little bit of code is a custom quality check that flags any subject whose age is over 65. Think about that. This is the kind of study-specific check that used to be impossible to automate. Catching something like this early is a huge advantage. It saves so much time and effort down the line.
And here's the payoff. This is what makes it all worthwhile. Look at this validation report. It found records where the test is weight, but the unit was put in as CM. Now, a standard validator might miss this because CM is a valid unit, right? But Core is smarter. It knows it's not the expected unit for weight, and it flags it for you. This helps you find those subtle but really critical data quality issues.
All right, let's wrap things up with a lightning round of some of the smaller but highly requested quality of life upgrades. These are the little things that prove the developers are really listening, and they can make a huge difference in your day-to-day work.
So let's just fly through these. Tired of dealing with the FDA's no day zero rule? There's a new study day function that handles it for you. Need to change a variable name everywhere in a huge script? You've now got find and replace. Can't remember the exact name of an SDTM variable? There's a new search button. And for filtering, you can now easily flip a switch to exclude subjects instead of just including them. See? Small changes, but they'll have a big impact.
So, if we boil it all down, what are the key things to remember about version 5.1? First, you're going to boost your efficiency by speeding up all those common tasks. Second, you can finally solve some of those really annoying regulatory headaches with new targeted functions. And maybe most importantly, you can now truly own your data validation process with the power of customizable core rules.
And that brings our tour to a close. This update really puts an incredible amount of new power into your hands, especially with that custom validation. So I'll just leave you with this one question to think about. With this new ability to build your very own data quality rules from scratch, what's the first one you're going to build?